to the Chris Beytes podcast. That's me. I'm Chris Beytes, editor-in-chief at Growertalks magazine. And in this series of podcasts, I'm going to introduce you to some of the winners of our annual Growertalks Young Grower Award. I'm going to pick their brains about what they love about the industry, their daily challenges, their triumphs, their failures, best decisions, and their dumbest mistakes. And hopefully we'll get some words of wisdom from them too. I hope you enjoy it. In today's Young Grower podcast, I am featuring our 2021 winner, the 16th Young Grower Award winner, and she is Maddie Maynor. How are you, Maddie?
Good morning, Chris. Good to be here.
Great to have you here. Where is here for you? You're sitting out in a sunny field of stock, it looks like, or other random flowers. Must be a nice summery place.
It is. It is balmy, southeast Pennsylvania. It is 10 degrees right now, so this is fighting off some winter blues out here in the field. So
it looks cheery anyway. Yeah, you were in Pennsylvania, and we'll catch folks up. You are currently a technical support specialist with BioWorks.
I am, yep.
How long have you been there?
I joined BioWorks at the beginning of 2022, so about coming up on 4 years.
4 years. And what does a technical support specialist do? What's a day in your life like?
In my role, I work with sales to support the Northeast. So my territory essentially is Maine to Virginia. I travel around with our channel partners who we sell through. I work with growers to come up with solutions, look at IPM plans, scout, problem solve, a lot of problem solving. It's great. It's like a field trip every day. It's been really fun. I've learned a lot, and it's nice to get out. As you know, sometimes as a grower, you don't get to get out as much. So this is like field trips every other week.
That's true. You get to go see what other growers are doing.
Yeah,
it's a little
really
like my job, really.
Yeah, it's nice. I enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll let you have a little plug here for BioWorks. Tell everybody the kind of products that BioWorks offers when you're out there providing technical service on them.
Yeah, so BioWorks they manufacture and supply biopesticides, biosolutions for greenhouse growers, nursery, food crops, specialty ag. So our role is just to provide solutions based on biologicals, kind of the macro side, not BCAs per se, but different species of Bacillus and Bavarias. So it's fun. It's kind of nerdy and like problem solving all in the same.
It's a real growing area. 20 years ago, people barely knew what a biocontrol was, and a few leftists were dabbling in it, I suppose you might say. Everybody else was spraying hardcore chemicals and longing for the good old days of Temic, like me. And now I think every grower, do you encounter a grower today who says, yeah, biologicals, I don't really believe in them. I'm not too sure on that.
It's rare. Yeah, it's definitely rare that happens. Most people are familiar with it. Thinking about how I started in it, it's definitely changed in that time period. So
yeah, just in 4 years. So let's go back in time. When you won the Young Grower Award in 2021, you were not with BioWorks. You were with North Creek Nursery as a perennial grower.
Yes.
Yeah, and so what was winning the Young Grower Award like? I'm sure life-changing.
Yeah, it was. I think the most exciting part was the win, not for myself, but for like the company as a whole, because like I would have never thought that was even like on the table, and the support of, the general manager at North Creek, Tim McGinty, and all the growers and everyone working there, like allowed me to like really work in an environment that was so supportive and like let me try things and like break things and like it was really hard, but yeah, they allowed me to like really experience the industry and my role, and it just kind of led to this path. So it was super exciting.
Well, you're not there anymore. You must have broken a few too many things.
Maybe. We're still friends.
But let's here it is. This is the
there it is.
There it is. Look at that, the Iron Woman, and we'll get into that more. And then let's see on the inside here. Let's see. There's the big 2-page spread.
There it is.
Whoops. There it is. Teacher, mentor, risk taker. Look at that.
Oh, there it
Today
is.
is
Yeah,
one
it's
of the.
so funny. Sometimes I'll go into offices, like growers' offices, and they'll have like old magazines laying around, and I'll be like, "Oh, there it is."
One of the perks of winning, you get a cover
Exactly.
story. That's the September 2021 issue. If anybody wants to look it up
Hmm.
online and read the story and learn more about your background. But let's go way, way back. I found it interesting. I love to find out why people came into horticulture, how they discovered
Hmm.
horticulture. You never knew a time when you didn't know horticulture. It's almost safe to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about what
Um,
your mom and dad do or did for a living.
yeah. So my mom was, she was a horticulturist at the North Carolina Zoo, which is like a state-owned zoo. It's one of the largest habitat zoos in North America. So she got to do all the landscape design, the installation, and all that. So I always kind of like grew up in the zoo, like in the background. We would like take field trips there. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go back there. I was just there this weekend. So I was like always around plants in that sense. And then my dad was a forester. So we're like always in the wood IDing, native plants. And so I just kind of like grew up in it, not necessarily in the garden center sense, but just kind of that public horticulture side.
Mm-hmm. Did you always know that that's what you wanted to do? You,
No.
no, you went to well, your education. You are from North Carolina, I should
Yes, I
say.
am.
That's not a
Hmm.
Pennsylvania accent where you
No,
little
we've
hints
toned
of
it down
there.
a bit, but
I bet when you get back home, though, it comes out a bit. Little
yes, it
drawl.
does.
Yeah.
Just to call my mom and it'll come back out.
But you went to Sandhills Community College in Southern Pines, North
I
Carolina.
did.
Got a degree
Yeah.
in horticulture, but horticulture wasn't it all along.
No, surprisingly, when I got out of high school, I really like history. I think I'm like a 60-year-old man who's like really into Civil War history. So I thought I wanted to go for history and then realized I was like, no, I don't really like this as much. So the backup plan was horticulture. It was not what I thought I would be doing. And then after spending the 2 years at Sandhills Community College, which is a very immersive program, they have a 40-acre gardens, they have greenhouses. I was like, yeah, I kind of like this. And then I went to Longwood and was like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
But
So
Longwood
fun
Gardens
stuff.
was your first job out of college. That's kind of going right to the top.
Yeah, no, that was, we went on a field trip there, part of the program at Sandhills. In the summer, they would take a week-long field trip to travel up and down the East Coast, look at garden centers, nurseries, public horticulture, to give the students an idea of what there is to do. And I remember coming in Longwood being like, I'm gonna work here. I'm gonna get an internship here. I'm gonna work here. So,
Yeah, well, you were sort of in the public garden sphere with your mom at the zoo.
mhm.
Same kind of an idea, I would suspect. So, did it seem like maybe public gardening, running a big arboretum or botanical garden might be in my future?
Yeah, that was kind of the next step. I thought I really enjoyed like design work, garden installation. It was kind of the artsy side of my brain, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
I found that the like greenhouse side with like all the numbers and the, understanding frac codes and figuring out fertilizer calculus, that was hard for me. So when I went to Longwood, I decided to do an internship in greenhouse production because I found that more difficult and I thought it'd be an opportunity to learn more. And
Hmm.
so that's what I did. And then it turned into a grower job. And I haven't done public horticulture since I left college.
Well, it's interesting. Ball Horticulture, my parent company, they've
Hmm.
got a seed that's called "Run Towards the Hard Stuff."
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what you did. I'm not so good at the production side. Let me dive into it and get good at it, huh?
Yeah. And that's kind of every step I've made in my career. It's like, that seems hard. I know nothing about it. Let's see how this goes.
And I won't avoid it. I'll run to it. That's good. Is that well? We'll get into the secrets of success later on, but so what'd you learn at North Creek well, let's go even back further. What'd you learn at Longwood that has served you well in your career thus far? What'd you pick up there?
I think attention to detail because it is, a public space. So like they notice, the guests notice things that you might not notice. So just a really attention to detail. Um, Working there, making sure most of my displays were in public areas. So just keeping a fine tune on what other people might be seeing in
Hmm.
that role.
What years were you at Longwood?
2012 to 2016.
Okay, so before they did the big overhaul that I just saw a,
Yeah.
a YouTube video, like an hour-long video. I had no idea the big new greenhouses they'd built and redoing the gardens. I've got to get back there.
No, it's changing. Like every few months it changes. It's so magical. Yeah.
Fantastic place. Yeah, it's been quite a few years since I've been there. Okay, so then North Creek, you got into production. How long were you at
Mm-hmm.
North Creek?
2016 to the end of 2021.
All right, so about 5 years or so. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what were some of the most important things you learned in that production setting that you carry with you now?
The biggest aspect was managing people and teams and the dynamics of that. When I came into the role, I wasn't supervising, I was problem solving, which I do enjoy. And then I started managing people and then managing the IPM program and just the dynamics of building teams and successful teams. I learned a lot about myself and how I manage and how I'd like to be managed, and then other people's styles and how do you blend everything together, because not everyone's going to get along or have the same work style. So, but you have to be
Yeah.
successful in the end. So,
Well, gosh, that's especially for a business owner who got into it almost accidentally. You start as a one-man show, and next thing you know, you got 20 employees, and you become an HR department. Any tips for people like that? What are a few of the key things you've learned about dealing with a diverse workforce?
I think something my former general manager said, when you bring a team together, there's like 3 stages that you go through. It's storming, norming, and performing. So when you build a team, they're going to be storming. There's going to be like infighting. People might not like each other, like how they do things. Then there'll be a point where, they're going to be norming. Everything will be normal. Everyone's fine. Everyone's getting along. And then the next step is performing, where they really execute as a team. And then anytime you change dynamics, that's going to have to start back over, and you're going to kind of maybe go back into that storming phase for a little bit. So just understanding
Uh,
there's different phases that you kind of have to go through when you build
that's
a
easy.
team.
Yeah, that's easy to remember, and I can think back in my own career, and I see it. I see the
Yeah.
exact stages.
You
And
just
you're right.
know
You bring
there's
somebody,
another level to get to.
you bring somebody new in, and then you start
Yeah.
storming again. Yeah, or you hope not. And I think part of hiring is finding a fit to avoid
Yeah.
or minimize the storm so you can perform.
Hmm.
Well put. So, how did you wind up going to BioWorks? It's interesting when someone leaves the greenhouse production world. A lot of times it happens with academia too. I see a lot of academics who
Hmm.
wind up over in sort of more of a sales or technical support function with a commercial company. How did you wind
Yeah.
up there?
It was not the plan. Like everything in my life, it was not the plan. So when I was at North Creek, I was managing the teams, kind of like problem solving, production planning work. And then our IPM manager left to go to a different role, and we didn't have anyone. And Tim, the general manager, was like, "You can do it." I was like, "Oh, okay. I know nothing about this." And so, I really had to use my resources, use the industry, teach myself along the way. And I really got into bios because it's the foundation of their IPM program at North Creek. And I was just like, wow, this is so amazing. Like, I'm really having a good time putting together these tank mixes, understanding how these biologicals work within a system. And didn't know I was going to be interested in IPM and spraying
And
and
North Creek already had a pretty robust program that you were able to
Mhm.
come into, so you didn't have to kind of learn it from ground zero, in other words.
No, I had a lot of resources, but he wanted to kind of take it to the next level and really focus on their inputs. And so we kind of rehauled the rotation and their IPM plan. And it was definitely struggle, for a few years. It'd be good seasons, bad seasons. But I learned a lot, and that I worked with BioWorks as a customer,
Mhm.
the whole time. And I would use them, I'd use other people in the industry, and I always had, a lot of respect for that company because of, the technical information they put out, the products they were putting out, and the research they were doing. So when the opportunity came about, it was uncomfortable, and I was like, let's figure this out. Let's, this strikes my interest, and let's see where it goes. And that's how I got here.
Was it hard to leave North Creek to break the news to Tim and the crew?
It was really hard. That was probably the hardest thing I've done in my career. because like I do cherish North Creek and I love those guys and the work they're doing and the people there and what they do for the industry.
Mm-hmm. But what was it that really made you think, I want this change, that this is, well, another one of those adventures I'm going to go on in my life?
I just thought it would be a good opportunity to like really get out of my comfort zone and learn more about other industries within our industry. Working with, indoor lettuce producers and cannabis and big nursery and like the big box growers. And those I would never have like really worked with before in like the perennial liner side.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an opportunity to just kind of learn some more about what's out there in this small but big world.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, the perennial niche is
Yeah, they're
big
tight.
but
They're really
narrow,
tight.
and it has its own language and its own people, and yeah, you're way out there now.
Yeah, I'm going into greenhouse and I'm like, I have never seen that before. Like the first time I walked in, like the hydroponic, lettuce production is 30 acres. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, well, tell me what you're learning now, getting out there on these daily field trips. What are some of the things that have stuck with you? Amazing visits, interesting lessons learned, just anything.
Yeah, I think just the diversity of like cropping systems and how to grow different crops, like from the cannabis guys to like, 30 acres of indoor strawberries, high tunnel tomatoes, just
Well,
growing styles
those are
that
three
I never
crops we
did
don't
before.
deal with. So tell me about cannabis. What are the
Yeah, it's
cannabis guys
wild.
doing these days?
It's wild. And they speak a different language compared to like the perennial guys. So it's just like the technologies that they use, how they use their inputs, crop timing has been very interesting for me. Like sometimes I go in, I'm like, I ask more questions than they do because I'm like, I don't know any of this stuff. Like you kind of have to help me learn. And then maybe I can come back and bring you some solutions. Um, yeah, it's been wild. Yeah, I've learned a
Yeah,
lot.
but how about some specifics on cannabis? Like, what is their biggest pest concern, and what can you do for them? And do you have to get fingerprinted every time you go in and out of
Yeah,
the
you do.
place? Or...
You have to sometimes sign an NDA and you have to turn over your license and go through like security. And then when you're in there, you have to wear hair nets and booties and zip ups and Tyveks. Some of their biggest issues are rice root aphids, which is interesting because that's a big issue sometimes for perennial growers.
Hmm.
It's just different plants. And so, and then inputs, every state's different when it comes to cannabis on what inputs they allow. And so understanding like the legal side of what they can use and can't use, and that kind of changes sometimes year to year. So you might be able to sell product in one state, but not the other state. So it's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, and you're talking about a product that is consumed. Well, then again, with the lettuce and tomatoes, the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. So all of those human safety
Yeah.
issues that you have to deal with, how much does that impact what you do, and really make maybe your job easier because it's easier to get a biocontrol into those systems than maybe a chemical.
Yeah, for sure. Bios are definitely welcomed in the food industry and cannabis industry. Even so, there is certain like regulations they have to follow with when they have to stop spraying before harvest. So if they do any plate testing at the time of harvest, it has to pass per the state regulations. And sometimes it doesn't, depending on what bios they use and when they sprayed it. So there's a lot of like nuances within each state and within these like food systems. And
Mm-hmm.
it's always changing and always evolving. But I think ultimately that's the direction these producers are going if they're not already.
Yeah. Now, of course, cannabis, you can't do any sampling, but the strawberry grower, that
Yes. I
you
get
can
boxes of
taste test
lettuce
that
all the
crap.
time.
Say that again.
I said I get boxes of lettuce all the time.
Lettuce,
Everyone's like,
strawberry,
here's
yeah.
tomatoes, here's strawberries.
You
Like,
can
yeah,
taste test those. You can get samples of that stuff. Maybe not the cannabis.
yeah,
Tell me about a strawberry grower. And this is greenhouse or high
yeah,
tunnel? What is it?
greenhouse. Yeah, indoor greenhouse. Strawberry production. Planting is starting now. They'll start fruiting and then they'll harvest up until June in some cases in the Northeast. And it's kind of wild. There's one place I went into, the teams of pickers are graded on how many pounds they pick per hour, and they have like scores that they every few hours it gets updated on this like company board, and it's like a competition who can pick the most strawberries per week, per day, per year, and then they can form teams of strawberry pickers. So it's like kind of wild. So when you're out there scouting or out there working, you see these teams come and you got to move.
Stay out of their way. You're going to cut into their bonus.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, they talk a lot about automating those systems as well. It's happening in Europe. What kind of problems does a strawberry grower face that you're able to help out with?
Yeah, they do get a lot of two-spotted spider mites, so we can help with that. In tomatoes, it's whitefly, and we can, help with solutions with that.
Oh my gosh, I sure could have used you back 35, 40 years ago in Florida when I was battling whiteflies down here in my pomegranates.
Florida has like a different set of pests, and those are always harder for some reason.
Ours were the size of bats.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
This is why I'm not in Florida.
They laughed at the Temec. They just said, this doesn't bother us. So what do you, so far in your career, what do you like about horticulture? Are you glad you followed in your mom's footsteps?
I am. I think my favorite thing is, especially now, is understanding the connection all these growers have and the stories that they share from like, why a plant has a name, why is it called that, and who is the breeder, and then, who is the first person to grow it, and then, so-and-so used to work over there, now they're over here. And it's just like, it's so funny when I travel up and down the East Coast, I'll meet someone who's like connected to this person, and it's like learning about these like little connections everywhere. Like when I first started, I didn't know anyone, especially being like an outer stater up here. Mm-hmm. I didn't know the history. I didn't know anyone. And like now it's been fun to like, say, oh, that person? Oh yeah, I used to work with them back in like the early 2000s, or, they helped me out on this project. Or that's why this plant's got its name. Yeah. So that's like my favorite part, is just like the interconnectedness of this industry, because it's very big, but also it is very small.
It's kind of easy. I've proven it's easy to be a big fish in the little pond of horticulture. Yeah. If you just get out, travel, go to some of the trade shows, talk to people. Next thing you know all the important people in the industry, and they know you, more importantly, and you have all those great contacts that you can put to work for your business, whatever it is. In everybody's career, no matter how long, there's good decisions and there's bad decisions. Tell me about a good decision that you're proud of, like maybe a proud moment in the greenhouse. Whether North Creek's or someone else's.
I think one of the proudest decisions, or I guess opportunities, was when I went to North Creek and Tim gave me the leverage to kind of do what I wanted, essentially, and like fail. Like I killed some crops. As a good grower, you got to kill a few.
That question comes next. Biggest goof up. So we'll save that one, but
okay.
One of the proud moments.
Yeah, and I think just like him giving me the leverage to like put together teams and like give me like, I guess unwillingly give me the IPM, strategy. I think that like really allowed me to like explore a new area. And so that's kind of, it's not, one thing, but I think my time at North Creek is one of my proudest moments. It's just a good group of people, and like I learned a lot about myself and like how I manage people and how to put teams together. That's probably my like biggest accomplishment and proud moment.
Yeah. And how about one of those goof ups? Everybody has them. Fess up.
Yeah, I have a few. Some, I guess, in this position it's all like trivial stuff, but there's a few trivial ones, like going to like saying, hey, you're going to meet a grower, and you get there and you're like, I'm here. And you're like super excited. And they're just like, I'm at the other location, which is like 2 states away. And you're like, I didn't know there was 2 sites. You're like, I'm not going to make this. So going to the wrong location, that's like always like, oh, dang it. And then, seeing people, this is like my biggest oopsie, like seeing people at their greenhouse, their nursery, and then like 2 months later, seeing them at a trade show and they're like in normal clothes, like nicer clothes, and they're like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, have we met? They're like, yeah, you were world. Yes. Yeah, exactly. You were at my nursery 2 months ago. I'm like, oh, that's right. Yeah. That's always like funny, but those are my trivial mistakes. Nothing crazy, nothing like detrimental, but it's
Right.
just so
Yeah. You got,
silly.
is that nothing that wakes you out of a sound sleep screaming from a nightmare? Like, I
No,
don't
I mean,
think,
leaving
not
irrigation
yet
on
anyway.
overnight is always like, that still kind of haunts me.
Well, I had one. It could have been bad, but we saved it, and that is we were doing a story with Eki, the
Hmm.
Eki Ranch on Poinsettia production, and talking about PGRs. And the story was actually coming from a talk that the late Jack Williams gave at Cultivate, I believe, and it was a recording. And we gave the tape to one of our freelancers and said, transcribe this and write it up. And they did. And when Jack said, put 2 to 5 parts per million of bonsai on your poinsettias, the writer heard 25 parts per million bonsai, which, if you're in horticulture long enough, you know that that is enough to shrink the plant back inside the pot, in the
Yeah.
pot itself. And no editor caught it. I would like to think that
Oh,
if I'd seen the piece, I would have said, no,
yeah.
no, you don't do 25. Something's wrong here. So it got published. And Eki saw it and freaked out and thought, we're going to have a bunch of dead poinsettias around here. And so we had to scramble and mail a letter to every subscriber,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
big print, like, do
Yeah.
not apply 25 parts per million of bonsai.
Oh,
And we
that's
never heard
wild.
any horror stories after that, but that made me realize that, boy,
Yeah.
what we print is important.
I had
So,
one similar to that. I was working with the team, and I'd put out the email of like, this is what we're spraying this week. And so I text the grower. I was like, hey, I left the chemicals out for you on the chemical table, and I left like the rates on a sticky note. She just thought the whole bottles were what we were spraying, so she dumped the entire like contents of these bottles and packages into the spray tank.
the whole,
And I come back in, and she's like, she sprayed the next morning. She was just like, what should I do with the empty containers? And I was like, empty containers? She's like, I used the whole bottle. And I was like, oh my God. Like, she sprayed, 14 acres of like perennials.
and it should have been a couple of ounces out of each bottle or something like
Yeah.
that.
Luckily, it was being bios, nothing burned or anything. But I was
Just
just like, that was a scare.
right. Just a bit of
That was a
waste.
scare. That could have been a big oopsie.
Yeah. So at one point, were you contemplating being a teacher?
Yeah. The history. I wanted to go for history education.
Yeah, history. So it
Mhm.
seems like you still are a teacher in many ways.
Yeah. I think that's helping people. I think that's like the foundation of like everything I've done in my career, is just like somehow I always end up in these like roles where I get to like share information and bring resources in, bring in smarter people. um, yeah, it's fun to like help people, especially like the growers, because being a former grower, I know what they're up against. It's everything.
Yeah, and they probably respond favorably when you can talk about your own crops. Many salespeople or even technical
Yeah.
people don't have that. Yeah, I used to run, a part of a big greenhouse, a big nursery.
Yeah, no, that's been definitely an edge coming in. Sometimes I get distracted and we start talking about like propagation issues and like solving like seed dormancy stuff. And sometimes like, okay, get back on track. But no, it's always fun to like kind of geek out with the growers on that level.
Yeah, that's a bonus if you can help them out with other things as well, as long
Yeah.
as BioWorks is okay with you freelancing a little bit off onto
Yeah.
propagation and things like that. Um, you've also had a few bosses,
Hmm.
good bosses, I assume. Hopefully, no bad bosses. Give some advice to the bosses out there, the managers, about how they can best attract and keep and encourage the young talent out there and grow the next Maddie Maynors.
I think what worked well for me with the different like bosses I've had is like allowing for mistakes and like giving you leverage to make decisions, and like sometimes mess up, and that's okay, but like learn from it. Like if you're not learning from it, then that's an issue, but give people opportunity to like use the information you've given them and then kind of twist it and like build something that's kind of their own, because if it's yours and then you're proud of it, like you're going to do a good job. And so like I understand like people have to like follow these set of rules or like this program or whatever, but I think it's worth allowing people to kind of switch it up a bit and like push the envelope and come up with new ideas. And don't forget about the old ideas. They're important. That's why they're there, but kind of putting their little twist on it. So just giving people empowerment to make, some decisions on their own.
Yeah. Now, some employees don't like that freedom. They want a lot of guardrails. They want to do it just your way.
Mm-hmm.
But you strike me as the kind of person who loves the freedom to explore, and not being able to do that would maybe stifle you in a way to where it's like, just not using my creativity, and maybe I need to go find someplace else that gives me more freedom.
Yeah. I think just the leverage to make those decisions. Like we like rules, we got to follow rules, but, let people kind of have a little ownership over some decisions. I think that's key for keeping people
exactly right.
Keeping their mind engaged. How
about advice to the young growers out there, like you still are, of course, to be successful in this challenging business of horticulture?
I think you have to just stay curious, because I know sometimes you get into the seasons and the years and it's like the mundane, you come in, you kind of do the same thing. I think just if there's something that interests you or, like tickles your brain a little bit, you should follow that, like explore it, because I didn't think if you told me 10 years ago I'd be doing like IPM sales, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Am I okay? Like I would have never thought that. But it's just like little things along the way that just, if something excites you or, interests you, follow it. And if it doesn't go anywhere, well, you learn something. So just stay curious.
There's certainly enough opportunities in horticulture.
Yeah. There's all kinds of roles out there.
Exactly right. Beyond just growing and retailing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like to do to escape the challenges of horticulture? What do you do for fun these days? When you were on a bicycle here, you were actually, I'll tell the folks, you were training not just for a marathon or a triathlon. You'd done those. You were training for an Ironman triathlon. How'd that work out, first of all?
It was so much fun. So much fun. I'm on to my 5th one this year. Wow. So we're still doing that. We're still doing the Ironman triathlons.
That's a lot. Our young Bill Calkins has done, I think, 3 of them now. A lot of ultra marathons. So talk to Bill.
Okay, good. He's going to be my new best friend. I'm coming for you, Bill.
He can commiserate on the hours and hours of training that it takes. Another thing that was interesting out of the story there, you like to do what you call random, obscure activities. And at the time, you had learned how to build a cob house. Cob, yep. Is that corn cobs or is that mud or a combination of, what is a cob house?
Mud.
Where'd you learn how to build a cob house?
I had a relative who was interested in building a cob house, and she invited me down to basically mud camp. And for a week we spent time barefoot, in the woods, digging up mud and building houses. And it was just like, you can't say no to that.
So, oh my gosh, it sounds like being 5 years old. It'd be perfect. 5, 50,
yeah, exactly.
65. And,
so, yeah,
and also, you went to the Bahamas to learn about tropical fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was part of an alumni program that, as a research station, where you get to go snorkeling all day and ID fish and help with fish counts. And again, you can't say no to snorkeling in the Bahamas.
Hopefully you do that. Ideally, you do that after the mud camp to kind of clean up,
right?
Get it out of the weird places that it got to. So what have you done since then? What are some other random, obscure activities that keep Maddie engaged?
Yeah. So I've done some really cool bike rides. I've got into outside the triathlon, just cycling events. I'm exploring right now. I've been doing some longer running activities. Next year, I'm going to be doing, in 2026, a 100-miler race. So that's going to be a lot. But yeah, anytime there's just something that's tickles the brain a little bit, you gotta go down that avenue and check it out. You
like to push yourself out of the comfort zone. That seems to be a theme. What's been well, I want to follow up this last question because it, again, comes out of that story. and I think there's a lot in here, and that is you have a philosophy about building your life resume. What does that mean, and how have you been building your life resume?
Yeah, I think that was a saying I heard from an entrepreneur about, it's not just about your career, it's your whole life. You're not here just to work, and you should enjoy what you do, hopefully. I do. But like, what else are you doing? You only get one life, and like, you should explore it and get uncomfortable, because that's where you're going to grow and you're going to gain new experiences, and it's going to make you ready for the next crazy thing that comes down the road. So I think just, you know, sometimes you go to work, you come home, it's very mundane. We're all human. We all do it. We sit on the couch, watch TV. But if there's an opportunity to try something different, to push yourself, to learn something, to meet people, you should go do it, because you do only get one life. And it's like, they say life's short, but it's not. Life is very long. Like, hopefully life is very long, and you have time to do all these things. Like, get out there and do it.
Yeah, but if you're doing it right, it passes by so fast, right? Time flies when you're having
right.
fun. And if your life feels like it's long, you're not doing it right, I think.
Yeah.
Do you have a long range plan? Are you a planner, a goal oriented person? I mean, you have to plan for an Ironman. It's a lot of training. Do you have career goals, or are you just taking it one day at a time?
I'm kind of just taking it one day at a time. It doesn't like sound good when you like tell people like, I have no plan, but so far it's worked out. I'll think about a year out, 2 years out of like what I want to do, but I kind of just let opportunities like kind of come in and see where it takes me, and don't get bogged down too much with all the details and what's next and is it working, is not working. So so far the no plan is working.
Now I have and it kind of builds upon or is similar to the building your life resume. I like the Japanese concept of an ikigai.
Yeah.
The ikigai is what gets you out of bed in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So what is Maddie's ikigai?
I think it's just like experiences. I like trying new things, and I think there's always something out there that you didn't plan for, and it just shows up. And I think just like what's out there, that's kind of like, there's always something good out there. You just gotta go find it. I think that's mine. It's very like open and vague and like mysterious, but yeah, I just think there's something out there, and you just got to wake up and go see where the day takes you.
What do you think you're going to find at mile 90 of your 100-mile run?
Maybe some hallucinations. I'm not sure. Hopefully my friends are out there and like they'll like pace me in and everything.
Yeah, there's a book about the native Mexican runners.
Yeah.
What is that book called? Every long distance runner has read it.
Yeah, it's the what is it? Finding Ultra? No. Is it Finding Ultra?
No. I'll put a CG in here at the bottom. Give the folks the name of the book. Yeah, it's as I used to be a runner, and I did the Chicago Marathon, and my fancy bicycle carbon fiber is hanging on the wall in my garage, and all I do is build things now. That's kind of my ikigai.
Yeah.
I have to build stuff. So I
That's
have a
great.
giant barn in my backyard that I built, and now I'm building the stuff that's in the barn. That's just all I do. If I'm not here making videos and magazines and podcasts, I'm building something or welding something or making a garden, or I just have
that's
to
awesome.
I'm a maker. I am absolutely a maker. But I've got to wrap up this little effort in making a podcast. Maddie, thanks so much for the time and sharing your experiences in horticulture. I wish you a long and successful career, and I'm so happy that yet again I've followed up with one of our young grower winners who hasn't abandoned horticulture. Because one of the things we do with Young Grower Award is we celebrate the young under 35 at the time, people who seem to have chosen horticulture as their career. And I don't think you have any regrets yet.
No, not yet.
Beautiful. Don't have any. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next Chris Beytes podcast. So long.